The Yorkshire Dales are breathtaking. With sweeping valleys carved by meandering rivers, there's something majestic around every corner. It's no wonder the locals call it God's own country. In this episode, I'm in Swaledale, which is home to one of Britain's great natural spectacles. And it's just bursting with life. It's just a great feeling.
Home of the
I'll meet the farmer who loves a good sing-song.
Dale.
And there's a near-death experience deep underground. That's our bad air alarm. And bad air in mine workings have killed a lot of people. Come and join me in the Yorkshire Dales. If you're looking for wildness, well, there's no better place than Swaledale. It's where the farms give way to the fells and the moors, and there's a real sense of remoteness and isolation. My journey is starting at the very top of Swaledale, not far from the village of Keld. From there, I'll be travelling from west to east, taking in the delights of the Muker Show. I'll follow the river Swale as it pushes past old lead mines near Reeth, before skimming through small hamlets like Mask, before my final destination of the beautiful Georgian market town of Richmond. This hike, though, is starting in a sea of colour. The hay meadows of Swaledale are rare and internationally important. Each summer, green gives way to a swathe of yellow, white and purple. Sometimes to truly understand things, you've got to get a little bit up close and personal. If you just let nature take its course, look what happens. Most obvious are these fabulous yellow buttercups and the long grasses and the short grasses. But down in here, there are tiny things like eyebright and the white clover and the red clover just over here. It's a complete, thriving, beautiful ecosystem. And it's just bursting with life. It's just a great feeling. 97% of upland hay meadows have disappeared in the Dales within the last 70 years. Farmers like Chris Calvert are guardians of what's left. You're running a farm that has traditional wildflower fields right here at the top of Swaledale.
Well,
I think I'm in heaven, you know.
You're standing at 1,300 foot above sea level, so we've got no pollution up here. You can see for miles today on a clear day like this.
Beautiful.
These fields haven't been heavily fertilised or anything like that. It grows lovely stuff for the sheep.
And this field here, is it protected by rules and regulations or just protected by you?
It has been in the past. There's been all sorts of schemes that compensated to put less fertiliser on, but those schemes have eased back a bit. There's less money about. So basically, we can do what we like. If I wanted, I could put a whole load of nitrogen on, kill the flowers, grow a big, heavy bumper crop, which we don't really want to do.
Along with his brother and nephew, Chris manages the land in a traditional way, and he's showing me how the old boys used to do it. This is great, Chris, because I can imagine your forefathers doing this exactly the same way, right?
Oh, they would just be in the element doing this. The whole family turned out to do the raking.
What do you think of my technique so far, buddy?
I'm rather impressed, Paul. You're doing well. Bit more practice, you'd be quite expert at it.
I love it. Mechanisation's made farming much easier, but these fields are deeply connected to the past. I want to call that a barn. What did you call it? A house?
No. It may be barns elsewhere in the country, but in Upper Swaledale they are cowhouses, which is short for cow house.
Cowhouse.
Yeah, cowhouse. That's right, cowhouse.
Cow house.
Cow house. Cows were wintered in these buildings for about 8 months of the year. And so one half was for the cows, and the other half, or the other third, was the hay mew for the hay that, as we're making today, floor to ceiling, stacked with loose hay. Inside, which apparently was one of the worst jobs, very often it was always the wife and the children who they were in there tramping the hay down, and so they had to spend the whole time walking round and round so that more hay could get in. They left a wee hole so that they could squiggle out and somebody could help them down.
Holy smokes! I mean, it's a beautiful building, and when I see them all over the valley here,
Yes.
there's a sense of sort of monument
Yeah.
to plain, hard, physical labour. And there's still a bit of graft to do here, collecting the bales of hay which will feed Chris and Glenda's livestock over the winter. Hot, dusty, sweaty. A long cold drink springs to mind, I must say. Well, there you go. That's the end of a long, hot, very satisfying day. And it's great to see it. The bales are in, Glenda and Chris are set up for the winter, and it's just incredibly satisfying. Brilliant day. Swaledale is Premier League walking country. Both the Pennine Way and the coast-to-coast routes pass through here. But I'm heading for the small village of Muker, where Chris is entering one of his bales in its annual show. But it's not the only category that's up for grabs. There'll be lots of lovely Swaledale sheep on show, but I've entered one of the most keenly fought over classes, the men's chocolate cake competition. And I'm going to bake mine right here, right now, on this, my pressure cooker. What could possibly go wrong? It's been with me all over the world. I've even used it on Mount Everest, but I've never baked a cake in it. Right, that's it, she's on, and I can hear the first bit of steam coming from the valve, so she's up to the right cooking temperature. It takes 40 minutes. I just hope I've got enough gas. Now for the moment of truth. Look at that. That's a flippin' beautiful chocolate cake. The next morning, it's nearly showtime, and my cake needs a bit of love. I'll tell you what, it does feel a bit dense. Maybe there's a prize for the densest cake. Look at that thing, it weighs a ton. The chocolate cake section is for blokes only, and the standard looks amazingly high. 233, 233. Okay, well, it's a bonus that the table didn't sink when I put it down. And here's the competition. Wow, some very, very good looking cakes here. I think mine's the only one made in a pressure cooker though. In a few hours' time, my cake will be judged behind closed doors. I just hope I'm not left with egg on my face. Muker Show is more than a century old, and in time-honoured tradition, the judges are still marched in by the Muker Silver Band.
It started in 1893 was the first one, and that it started really with an argument year before over who had the best sheep. So the following winter they got together and formed a committee, and that year they would have a show. And it was just then there were sheep classes. Cows, horses, pigs, and eggs, and cheese and butter. That was what there was then.
Remember that bale of hay I made further up the dale? Well, it's about to be judged. But what exactly are they looking for?
You want the smell, good clean hay, because if there's any matter left in from last year, it comes out, smells bitter.
God, it does smell really good, that, you know.
It's a good feed for sheep.
Right.
They love that.
So you have to judge a whole range of attributes.
Different things with it. Yeah, different. I'm not the cleverest on hay, but It is fine. You see, on this one's a bit of clover there, isn't it?
Nice to get a sense of the science of this thing, you know?
Yeah.
This is science.
Yeah, it is really.
I often think of the good hay when I'm having a good lamb.
That's it. There's nothing
Good
better.
lamb dinner.
No. You can, if you've been fed on some good hay, you can nearly manage without mint sauce.
Our hay bale came second. But back in the produce tent, has my cake risen to the occasion? Best chocolate cake baked in a pressure cooker that's been up Everest. OK, it's a fairly narrow band, but it's still a winner, right? Of some kind. And it's got a purple rosette as well, mate. Look at that thing. See that? How good is that? The day's coming to a close. But Muker Show has one last surprise. A community sing-song outside the village pub. They've been doing this for as long as anyone can remember. What a unique Swaledale spectacle. The Dales are famed for their tranquility, but Swaledale hasn't always been as peaceful as this. And the reason was lead. These hills had rich seams of ore, but getting to it was no easy task. Lead mining on an industrial scale took off in the 18th and 19th centuries. These hills were once alive with thousands of miners trying to hit the jackpot.
Miners were always hoping for that lucky strike. And so they would form partnerships in the hope that they would strike it rich. And a lot of the farms around here would take in lodges, so people would travel for miles, work in the mines for a week, and then travel home again.
And as more mines were sunk, Swaledale's population mushroomed. But what we can see above ground is only part of the lead mining story. Deep below these hills, experienced cavers have discovered a hidden industrial world. This underground tunnel is part of the Sir Francis Level mine. When Dave Carlisle first explored it, it felt like the miners had only just left.
When we first went down in 1961, there was everything there. There was still the door on the engine house, a bench with all the tools, a little kettle on a trivet for a brew of tea with a candle under it. All the spares for the engine were there, an anvil. Don't know what happened to that. I think somebody threw it down the shaft at some stage. But as time went by, certainly by the mid-70s, there was very, very little left.
Trophy hunters have taken some artefacts, but the winding gear has survived. The National Park wanted to record what was left, so the mine's been mapped using the latest laser technology.
Unfortunately, the mine workings and the lift are decaying. They're falling apart gradually over time, and there probably isn't the money to maintain these things. So it was an opportunity to capture it in great detail for posterity in 3D as a 3D model.
OK, let's have a look at what you found.
We come in through this entrance passage here with this wonderful Victorian stonework, and eventually you see the cage here which drops down into levels that are now flooded, but above that you've got the actual lift workings itself, the bobbin and the actual hydraulics here above it, which are all still in place.
I'm about to explore the mine, but I know they can be dangerous places. I've got a safety team with me, and we'll be checking for flooding, roof collapse and the quality of the air. Well, that's it. I've got my harness on, helmet on, dry suit, and most importantly, a very big lunch with a lot of tea. I'm on my way. The entrance is blocked, so we're dropping down to the main tunnel via an air shaft. Pete Rowe from Swaledale Mountain Rescue is my guide, and the adventure starts immediately. The tunnel is flooded. God, it's great, Pete. There's one thing having a bit of welly deep water, it's quite another moving in water that's up to your chest, isn't it? The standard of craftsmanship is astonishing. The men that were working down here, they were, heroes really, working in really difficult conditions. This is a mile long, this level. How long did it take them?
About 13 years, just coming on that one. And when you set off, what a project it is. In 13 years' time, we might strike a vein, and there might be enough lead there to make it pay. There might be.
Holy smokes.
Optimist.
Optimist, I'll say that one. I'll say the optimist. Yeah. Let's hope the brickwork holds up. But it's not the only worry we've got.
This is the gas monitor.
And what are you measuring?
Mostly oxygen.
Right, OK.
So in old mines, there's always a hazard of bad air.
Yeah.
Which can be low oxygen levels or can be high carbon dioxide levels. Sure. And they both have their own dangers, and they both kill you. At any moment, it can change from being perfectly breathable to being absolutely deadly.
Wow. You keep a close watch on that then?
You do.
OK. Very good to come out of that deep water there, chest deep water, and I think we're about halfway along. And there's a sense of excitement because somewhere up there, another sort of half an hour's walking, should be all the workings. We've been underground now for more than 3 hours, and we're breathing heavily and starting to feel tired. And then this happened. The gas monitors have picked up falling oxygen levels, and our safety team are concerned. Well, there you go. We came through all the deep water, a complex passage. We're almost there. The workings are only a couple hundred yards away, but listen, that's our bad air alarm. And bad air in mine workings have killed a lot of people. We're at the low threshold, so we're off out. Too bad, but I want to stay alive. Come on, fellas. Within an hour, we're back at the entrance and fresh air. Well, that's a disappointment. It wasn't to be this time, but very happy to be back on the surface. And you know, to see that architecture down there, to see the amount of work that goes into it, to see it firsthand was absolutely beautiful. And I'll tell you what, I've got real respect for the old miners of Swaledale. The Sir Francis Level mine was only open for 20 years as cheap lead imports undercut British mines. Swaledale's population plummeted. Its time as an industrial hub was over. These days, the Dales are a magnet for tourists rather than miners. This may not be much to look at, but it's probably the most famous bridge in Yorkshire, all because of one television series that put the Dales on the map. There were 90 episodes of All Creatures Great and Small.
If you can find something more creative to do with your time than whatever it is you're doing, that's been mightily obliged.
7 series were filmed all over the Dales, including the Red Lion Inn in the hamlet of Langthwaite. And it's a place of fond memories for actor Peter Davison, who played young vet Tristan. Peter, your series brought the Yorkshire Dales into people's living rooms for the very first time.
Yes, I suppose it did. I come from Streatham in South London, and I just thought everywhere up north was lots of terrace houses and billowing smoke. So I remember vividly driving up in a little Renault 4 van and turning off the A1 into this different world.
And of course you filmed right here. Landlady Rowena Hutchinson has been at the pub for more than 50 years and remembers the many times the Red Lion appeared on the telly. I love these pictures. I mean, they're just great.
They are, they're lovely. And they say, oh, that's you still standing there. So,
yes.
Yeah, this one was the Queen's Hotel. We were much more at market in the last series.
So the pub's been itself as the Red Lion.
Yes.
It's been the Drovers.
Drovers. And it's been the Queen.
And it's been the Queen. So it's been the pub's been 3 different pubs.
That's right, yes. Yes.
I like that. Readers of the Dalesman magazine have voted the series as the greatest ever made about Yorkshire, even though at the time the actors are often thrown in at the deep end. What sort of reaction did you get with the farmers?
Farmers, I guess, have mixed feelings about vets anyway, let alone people who are pretending to be vets.
If it is scouring, there's nothing much we can do except give her hay. Absolutely no concentrates at all.
But the thing is, you have to get down and dirty, even if you're a pretend vet. Yeah. And you know, quite often vets spend most of their time with their arm-up cows. You know? Right. I always thought that it didn't matter what was wrong with the cow. You know, if the cow had a sore throat, the farmer, you know, would you'd still be looking at the vet with his arm up the cow, thinking, what's he doing that for?
Your customers today, do they instantly know that this is the All Creatures Great and Small?
They do, because they recognise the bridge. They want to photograph their cars going over the bridge. So we get people still from all over the world.
I've dropped down to the River Swale. There's a great network of paths here. And if you're planning a longer stay, there are a few places where you can stock up. I'm in Reeth, an important staging post here in Swaledale. You can spend the night, buy supplies, even attend the weekly market. And it's an undeniably great place to sit here and soak up the views, recharge the batteries. There's a great sense of community in Swaledale. And while it's tempting to stay a bit longer in Reeth, my itchy feet are driving me further down the valley. As I work my way towards Richmond, Swaledale flattens out a bit, but the views are still pretty special. I've now reached the quiet village of Mask, but not all is as quiet as it seems.
I sing of a place to my heart very dear, a place where I always will dwell, and if you will kindly lend me your ear, a few of its beauties I'll tell.
High in the hills, Farmer Martin Wallace is in full voice.
How well do I love thee, how well do I love thee.
Martin lives and works in one of the most stunning parts of Yorkshire.
Beautiful, beautiful Dale.
In his spare time, Martin loves to belt out a tune. And he's not alone, because this corner of Swaledale has its own community choir.
I would say it's my favourite hobby. Well, being a farmer, I haven't the time for a lot of hobbies. But singing, I'm keen on that.
And was just a spur of the moment thing for you, Martin, or was it in your family?
Well, I've liked singing and liked music. My grandfather was a singer probably when he was my age, with his brothers in a group. And my mother played the piano for some other people singing, so I've heard people singing and music ever since I was little.
It can be pretty quiet up here on the farm, so what happens when you sing to these?
They drown me out. Yeah.
Can we give it a go? What are you going to sing? What are you going to sing? Give it a go.
Well, I'll sing a verse of one.
All right.
That my grandfather would have sung.
Yes, please.
Beautiful Swaledale, land of rest. Beautiful Swaledale, I love thee the best. The land it is set in a cultivate style. The extension of Swaledale is 20 long mile. How's that?
That's great. They all went quiet. So did I, which was very unusual, but especially unusual was the sheep all went quiet.
Yeah.
Right, back at it, eh?
Yeah,
Thank
back
you,
to work.
That was lovely. Thank you. Martin's one of 13 farmers in the 30-strong choir, which meets most Friday nights.
Up we go. So one side and over.
The mass choir is the brainchild of Nick and Lindsay Ibbotson. And Lindsay takes a very physical approach to her singing lessons.
Very much space.
I can feel that she's going to have her work cut out with me.
So, la, so, do.
So, la, so, do. I'm joining the choir for one night only. But in such a remote place, just how did they find so many singers?
We were tapping into something that was just waiting to happen in a way, because there is no pub in the village. There's no village hall now. There was a village hall. There's nothing, and people were just needing something.
You discover some wonderful voices once they get over themselves and sing. It's a real joy.
Well, I've had a lesson, got me words, the rest of the choir's started to arrive, and my approach now is to just give it full beans and hope for the best.
And shake about, wag your tail.
The choir performs all over the Dales and beyond, but I've joined them for a song they've written about the place they love the most.
Swaledale is the only place for me. It's once a place you're ever gonna see. It's a long way from the city, but it's really blooming pretty. It's the only place you're ever wanna be. Sweet floral meadows surrounded by walls, on standing ridges centuries unfold. Soft the sound of the babbling brook. Farmers and miners create the bloom. Swaledale is the only place for me. It's the only place we're ever gonna see. It's a long way from the city, but it's really blooming pretty. It's the only place you'll ever wanna be. It's the only place
the songs of the mass choir ringing in my ears, I'm nearing the end of my Swaledale journey. I've reached Richmond, which is famed for its Norman castle. But there's something else I'm keen to see. The town has Britain's oldest and most complete Georgian theatre, built at a time when theatre going was an uncomfortable experience.
So what you see here is exactly what people saw when they opened in 1788.
Well, I'm ready. Oh, yes.
That's a good response.
Look at it.
It's great, isn't it? It's a fantastic space. Okay. Now the theatre holds 200 people. 200? Friendly 200. But in 1788, this space held 400 people. And because of the clothes they wore, Georgians were shorter than us, but they were a sight wider than us as well. 400 people? 400.
Wow. These interior features survived, despite times when the theatre was used as a storage facility and a pool hall. This hand-painted woodland scenery is a Georgian original, but it's not the only thing that's caught my eye. You can't do theatre without sound effects, so back in the day when they needed thunder, they had something like this over their heads. I can imagine something that big above the whole theatre. It's thunder. The theatre is in daily use, and these youngsters are its future.
I'm not gonna fight you, shit. Obtuse. Does it bother you?
Its youth theatre group have performed at the Edinburgh Fringe. Proof that the arts here in Swaledale are thriving. But if I could turn the clock back, I'd love to have been here when theatre going was a much more raucous event.
There were no bars, so people brought their own food and drink. Georgians were renowned for a bit of a stand and deliver style of acting. People were very keen to tell them what they thought about their performance, and remember, they got food and drink in their hands, so they had to shift about a bit.
So they would actually throw stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
So things have changed, because these days, actors quite rightly get very upset about people on mobile phones, don't they? But in those days, you were getting something thrown at you.
If you've got a choice between a mobile phone and a tomato, you'd choose the mobile phone, probably.
Well, I don't know, I think I'd take the tomato any day. My walk through Swaledale has been a journey through a land of many colours. There's a rugged beauty here that leaves a deep impression on you. It's obvious why the people who call Swaledale their home love it so much. And it proves the point, doesn't it, that every meaningful hike doesn't have to be physically or mentally demanding or some kind of near-death experience. Every single step on this has been a complete pleasure. Next time, I'm in Wharfdale, where I'll be hanging out with some beautiful bats and heading for the hills for the remarkable story of a man who survived a deadly World War II bomber crash.